Open your eyes and see the swimming sea of people surrounding you. In a world full of technological abundance, cell phones, computers, iPads, where satellites connect all of us, interconnected, and yet we still feel alone. Idly and aimlessly, people are texting and talking and texting, oblivious to the pitfalls that lie in front of them. Aimlessly, they wander, entranced in the latest tweet, text, or snap, while others find themselves lost in the crowd. Violence is the latest YouTube post, screen time for dinner time, sexting and texting. An epidemic, an addiction. A cell phone. Each day, when a person makes the decision to pull out their phone, they are choosing to accept the inherent risks that come with this technology. Whether it be a downfall in mental health through anxiety and peer pressure, or an aching, stiff body and itchy, sore eyes, cell phones take a negative toll on our health. In 2015, according to Common Sense Media, children aged 8 to 12 spend an average of 6 hours on entertainment media each day, with their older siblings and friends, those aged 13 to 18, spending about 9 hours a day with this media. The notion of injustice comes with the unpreparedness that is poisoning our youth, creating a generation less prepared to survive on their own than their parents. Injustice that has existed for over 3 decades and has been continuously studied by psychologists but fails to be recognized as truth by the greater public. But this isn't just a teenage issue either. According to the Journal of Child Development, parents of teens average 9 or more hours on their phones each day, with 78% of them believing they are good role models. A combination of mass marketing and societal arrogance are leading to an increasingly toxic cell phone addiction.
1 billion of us own a smartphone, and we know how addicting it can be. One former Google employee says this is no accident. Indeed, it is by design, and he became troubled by the relentless efforts of app developers to keep us glued to the gadget.
As stated by numerous analysts, corporations produce a massive influx of phone advertisements, with many specifically marketed to teens. Mark Donovan, a senior analyst for M-Metrics, a media intelligence software company, reveals how smartphones are specifically marketed to meet the ever-changing desires of teens. They don't want to walk around with a phone that makes them look like a dork, he says. At the same time, CNN Money calls adolescent consumers a desirable demographic for phone makers and carriers hungry for data revenues, revealing how the teen population is preyed upon by big business out for profit. Meanwhile, researchers like Kara Haluoto write that iPhone commercials for the iPhone tend to show exactly how it could affect your everyday life without bogging the viewer down with too many of the technical aspects, prefaced with the idea that the younger generation mostly cares about the look of the device, its camera, and the games and apps they can download. Regardless of the savage targeting that phone and wireless companies are responsible for, societal ignorance is another key role in the creation of phone addiction. In an article titled "BlackBerry as Black Sheep," the New York Times reports that several BlackBerry users report feeling shy and ashamed when pulling out their phones in front of their Android and iPhone using friends. Teens without cell phones are socially ostracized from their peers. These kids are ridiculed, shut out, and shamed for having an older phone or a complete lack of technology thereof. This idea spurs around from the societal phenomenon and stereotype that to be successful, you must become 100% dependent on technology. By examining articles written about email in the business world, this idea is shockingly apparent. Jim Stern and Anthony Pior claim that the most powerful tool for marketing, the most powerful tool for branding, the most powerful tool for direct response, and the most powerful tool for building customer relationships turns out to be plain old ordinary email, while failing to recognize the values of human interaction. Not only does the report highlight that this addiction to media is shared by both teens and their parents, it truly showcases the future of society: robotic, confined to the indoors, and antisocial. If this addiction to mobile phones and technology continues, society is headed into another dark age. As stated by the mission, for something that affects 70% of Americans, you would think there would be more people talking about it, more blogs covering it, and the alarm bell ringing. But when something becomes so pervasive that we all consider it the new normal, maybe that's when we really should start paying attention to it.
The structure of a child's skull is just different than an adult. The skulls are thinner, and so if there is any sort of radiation that comes through your cell phone that could be harmful, the concern is that it can get through the skull into the brain and neural tissue a little bit easier than it might in an adult. You're talking about something that we all use every day, and now our kids are using every day over many, many years.
The deepest issue with phone addiction is not the cause, rather the toll it takes on society every day. One of the most lethal parts of this addiction is distracted driving. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that texting is the most alarming distraction. Sending or reading a text takes your eyes off the road for 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's like driving the length of an entire football field with your eyes closed. If that isn't significant enough, 3,450 people were killed as a result of distracted driving car accidents in just 1 year.
With the effect of cell phone use as a commercial truck driver, what I have seen before is the increased number of vehicles leaving the roadway. People driving down the road, got the phone up to ear, or they're typing on the phone, not looking at the road at all, crossing in the path of moving commercial vehicles. As far as what kind of distractions are caused, I can speculate. I would speculate on distracted driving. Typically what I've seen as a result of this would be head-on collisions, cars rear-ending other vehicles. You'll have a line of cars stopped at a stoplight, and you'll have a car 5 cars back, creams into the one in front of them. Obviously, they're looking down at the road. The next thing that I've noticed is when you're driving your vehicle straight down the road and you got that car in front of you, that all of a sudden starts veering off to the right side of the road, and they overcorrect and they pull it back. And then a few seconds later, they veer back to the right or the left. What they're doing is they're driving down the road, looking at their phone. Human nature.
Teens report that they feel addicted to their cell phones. A new study in the Journal of Child Development shows nighttime usage of cell phones can increase anxiety and depression in teenagers and even reduce self-esteem. This is the first study that shows a direct link between screen time and mental health. Researchers note that rates of anxiety and depression in young people have actually risen over 70% over the past couple of decades.
Research by Wiley shows that when iPhone users were unable to answer their ringing iPhone during a word search puzzle, heart rate and blood pressure increased, self-reported feelings of anxiety and unpleasantness increased, and self-reported extended self and cognition decreased. This evidence supports the theory of nomophobia, a new phobia about the anxiety of being without a mobile phone.
So I feel like a lot of teens are addicted to their phones and addicted to social media specifically because of the fact that we all feel the need to be connected to each other at all times, and one of the ways that is possible is through apps and platforms such as like Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter. And so through all of these, we feel the need to always constantly show the best part of ourselves. So everybody just keeps on showing the only good parts of their life, making everybody kind of feel bad, but that's just like an ongoing cycle that's never really going to stop.
Many will argue that the sole cause of phone addiction is the consumer. And while our own improper use shares partial fault, mass marketing and societal ignorance are to blame. It's time to educate our youth. Make your phone a tool, not a weapon. Step out of the oblivion. Download a cell phone use tracking app, take a media-free Monday, or purchase a pair of screen glasses. Stop the cellular degeneration.